Welcome to Equip with Pastor Steve Hamner. Join us today as we are creating a world that Christ can live in. For more information, visit our website at wordoffaithtuscaloosa.com.
Glad that you're able to join me today on this edition of Equip. For the next few weeks, we're going to deal with the power of words. We're going to deal with the authority of our words, the word that God has given us, and even God himself spoke the entire creation into existence. The scripture that we're going to deal with today comes from Hebrews, the 11th chapter, verse number 3, and it says this from the New Living Translation. It says, by faith we understand that the entire universe was formed at God's command, that what we now see did not come from anything that can be seen. So we're going to learn how to control our speech today for the next few weeks as well, so that your words will work for you. Oftentimes our words work against us, simply because we've been trained through society or just in our upbringing. We have allowed what we say to believe that it has no effect upon the outcome of our lives. But we're going to learn during the next few weeks that what we say do have a weight upon what manifests in our lives. I simply believe that the things that we have said and what we are manifesting and what we're having in our life today is based upon what we've said yesterday and in the past. So we're going to look at today three principles of truth. Three principles of truth. Number one, faith is the force that God used, when he created the world. Faith is a force. We have to understand faith is a force. God spoke the world, spoke creation into being by simply speaking it. So there was force or faith in what he said. When he opened his mouth and when he said what he wanted, it released a force of faith. And then because of that, faith is a force, it was able to do what God was speaking. Number two, faith is primarily released when the words of your mouth or by the words of your mouth. Faith is primarily released by the words of our mouth. We have what we say. Time and time again, we have what we say. Well, if you want a sandwich and you are thinking it in your mind, oftentimes you're saying, well, I want a sandwich. And so you'll follow suit by going into the refrigerator and getting what the necessary things to make that sandwich. And so simply, we have what we say, and our faith is released by the words of our mouth. The word says that the sword of the Spirit is that rhema word. So that's the word that is spoken by your mouth. That rhema word, the power of the rhema word. God spoke and then creation came into being simply by opening his mouth, speaking what he desired, speaking what he wanted, and it became so. That is so key in our walk with God. That is also key in our deliverance and in our everyday life. Understanding that when we open our mouth and speak, things manifest, things happen, things occur. And number three, God established the system that we have and that is in operation now of communication. And that is, we can use faith-filled words to create, to establish, and to transform our environment. Now that's very powerful and that's very good. To know whatever you are experiencing now, whatever's going on in your life, whatever has began to happen, that you have the capacity and you have the power and you have the words, and they are faith-filled words, and you can create, you can establish, and you can transform your environment. The world, here at Word of Faith Church, we said that we are creating a world for Christ to live in. The way that we do that is not only by living a certain way, but also understanding that the words that we speak also have the power to create that environment that we desire for Christ and for God to live in. We find out in the book of Genesis, the first chapter, verses 1 through 30, it tells us how God, by using his mouth, by speaking, he created and he established this world, this known world as we see it and as we know it today. And God never does anything without first speaking it. God never does anything without first speaking what he wants. And also, faith or fear is also released by the words of our mouth. We can release fear with the word of our mouth. We speak words every single day. You and I, we speak words every single day. Our world is filled with words. And they are either words of faith or they are words of fear. So don't meditate on the negative things. And oftentimes in life, we meditate upon the negative. We meditate upon that which is not good. And when we begin to meditate upon those things, we begin to speak what our thoughts are, or we begin to speak what we are meditating upon. And so we don't want to meditate upon thoughts of insufficiency, upon lack, upon shortages. So we don't want to speak those things, because when we speak those things or think on those things, we begin to say what we think. So anything that is negative needs to be put out of our lives. Yet at the same time, God established faith-filled words for you and I, where Satan also understands and that he will use faith-filled words to cause havoc and commotion and cause destruction in our lives. So we need to be careful that when we speak, we are speaking faith words and not fear words. So that means that we have to monitor what we say, monitor what comes into our mind, because it first enters the mind before it comes out of our mouth. So we need to think before we speak, so that we can have really what we say. May God bless you. See you next time.
For more information, visit our website at wordoffaithtuscaloosa.com.